The sky rained fire as the alien ships descended, their weapons primed to annihilate humanity. But as the first bolts struck the fleeing crowds, a stunning truth emerged: the alien tech failed against human skin. Dr. Alex Novak stared slack-jawed at the news footage, broadcasting scenes of panic from across the globe. New York, London, Beijing, the story was the same in every city. The hostile ships hung low like bloated ticks, disgorging armies of spindly gray creatures armed with pulsing rifles. Yet for all their advanced weaponry, the aliens met a puzzling resistance. Any beam or bolt that struck human flesh simply fizzled away, like water on a hot skillet. Bullets crumpled against bare skin, leaving faint red welts at worst. At first, people screamed and cowered, expecting instant death. But as realization dawned, an eerie calm fell, broken only by the cries of frustration from the invaders. Barricaded in his lab, Alex felt a flicker of hope. If the aliens couldn't harm them, maybe humanity stood a chance. Still, the question gnawed at him: what quirk of human biology confounded these conquerors from the stars? Alex recalled an obscure protein he'd been studying, buried in the dermis. Could it be the key? He needed answers fast, before the enemy adapted. The alien weapons were useless, for now. But Alex knew their failure was only the start. This war would be fought on a biological battlefield, and he had to unravel the mystery before it was too late. Rushing to his computer, Alex pulled up the protein's data, his heart pounding. The secrets of humanity's survival might be coded in their very skin. The screen flashed with unknown symbols, a puzzle waiting to be solved. With trembling hands, Alex set to work, praying he could master the riddle before the invaders recovered. Little did he suspect the stakes were higher than he ever imagined, or that his research would soon catapult him to the center of the fight for Earth's future. For now, all he knew was that the alien arrival was only the beginning, and the true threat was yet to be revealed. 1 week earlier, Alex had been just another researcher toiling in obscurity. He led a small team studying the biochemistry of human skin, mired in the minutiae of dermal proteins and lipid structures. But a chance discovery changed everything. During a routine analysis, they stumbled upon an undocumented protein lurking in the dermis. Initial tests hinted at remarkable properties: an unrivaled ability to absorb and dissipate energy. Alex's instincts screamed that this was big, world-changing even. He christened it Resolin and poured all his efforts into unlocking its secrets. Late nights stretched into bleary-eyed dawns as Alex ran simulation after simulation, trying to map the protein structure and understand its capabilities. The data was staggering. Resolin could theoretically withstand temperatures rivaling the sun's core, or absorb the impact of a speeding bullet without breaking a molecular sweat. Alex barely had time to ponder the implications before the lab's serenity was shattered by wailing news alerts. Alien ships had appeared in orbit, bristling with ominous weaponry. Suddenly, his obscure discovery took on existential importance. Could Resolin hold the key to humanity's defense against alien attack? The protein seemed uniquely suited to neutralize energy-based weapons. If they could find a way to amplify its effects, maybe even replicate it. But before Alex could explore the possibilities, the first laser strikes rained down on Earth's cities. He watched, aghast yet spellbound, as the attackers met their match in human skin. Resolin was doing its job, but how long would it hold out? Shaking himself from his stupor, Alex knew what he had to do. He gathered his research and reached out to his network in the military and scientific community. If they could deploy Resolin on a large scale, humanity might stand a fighting chance. Responses began flooding back, experts clamoring for more data, generals demanding briefings, world leaders desperate for a silver bullet. Alex found himself at the center of a whirlwind, his once obscure work now the linchpin of Earth's defense strategy. As he prepared to join an emergency summit, Alex felt a heady mix of fear and exhilaration. Resolin offered fragile hope, but the battle was just beginning. The aliens would not give up easily, and every hour counted. He could only pray his research would bear fruit before it was too late. With a final glance at his lab, Alex stepped out to face a world on the brink. The fate of humanity might well rest on the secrets locked in their skin, and his ability to unravel them in time. Little did he know the true trials were yet to come, and survival would demand more than he ever imagined possible. The aliens launched a full-scale ground assault, their sinuous bodies pouring from the bellies of gleaming ships. Soldiers and civilians alike steeled themselves for slaughter, but once again, the invaders' weapons proved impotent against human flesh. Lasers fizzled out, bullets bounced away, and plasma bursts dissipated without a trace. At first, there was jubilation. News cameras captured scenes of human resistance fighters standing tall against the alien onslaught, their skin seemingly impervious to harm. But Alex knew their advantage was fleeting. Resolin could absorb and neutralize energy, but it had limits. And the aliens were nothing if not adaptable. In his makeshift lab at the military base, Alex worked around the clock to unravel Resolin's full potential. He subjected samples to every conceivable test: extreme heat, cold, radiation, physical stress. The protein remained stubbornly stable, its molecular structure refusing to yield. But even as Alex marveled at Resolin's tenacity, disturbing reports began to filter in from the front lines. The aliens had shifted tactics, abandoning their energy weapons in favor of a new horror: capture. They sought to seize humans alive, to subject them to God knows what experiments in their ship's gleaming labs. The news hit home when a ashen-faced colonel informed Alex that his lab partner, Dr. Lena Mishra, was among those taken. Numb with shock, Alex stared at the surveillance footage of Lena being dragged into a pulsing alien craft, her skin no defense against the invaders' grasping appendages. Anger crystallized into icy purpose. He had to get her back, had to save them all. But to do that, he needed to unlock Resolin's full potential. And time was running out. Alex threw himself into his work with renewed urgency. He pored over every scrap of data, chased down every lead. And then, in a moment of blinding insight, he saw it, the key to amplifying Resolin's power. The protein wasn't just a passive defense. It could be activated, transformed into a weapon in its own right. If he could find a way to trigger the transformation on a mass scale. Hope surged through Alex's veins, tempered by grim determination. He had the key, now he just had to use it. And that meant mounting a rescue mission into the heart of the alien stronghold. He laid out his findings to the astonished military brass. At first, they balked at the risk. But Alex's fierce conviction swayed them. This was no longer just about saving Lena and the others. It was about securing the means to fight back, to turn the aliens' biological advantage against them. As a strike team assembled and a desperate plan took shape, Alex felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. The success or failure of the mission would hinge on his untested theories about Resolin. And the price of failure was too horrific to contemplate. Steeling himself, Alex made his final preparations. The stage was set for an audacious gambit, a handful of humans against an alien behemoth. The odds were grim, the stakes impossibly high. But Alex swore he would not fail. For Lena, for the Earth, for the future of the human race, he would bend science to his will, and pray it would be enough. The rescue mission came together with startling speed, a testament to the urgency of the moment. Alex found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity, briefing strike teams, coordinating with military intelligence, and fine-tuning his Resolin activation protocol. The plan was audacious to the point of insanity. Using stolen schematics of the alien ship, Alex and a hand-picked team would infiltrate the vessel where the human captives were being held. Once inside, they would deploy Alex's Resolin amplification device, transforming the captive's skin into an offensive weapon. Chaos would ensue, buying time for a second team to extract the prisoners. It was a long shot, rife with unknown variables and potential for catastrophe. But it was also the only chance they had. Every simulation confirmed that a frontal assault would be suicide. Stealth and sabotage were the only path to victory. As the hour of the mission approached, Alex reviewed the plan obsessively, running through every contingency, every possible point of failure. The weight of responsibility crushed down on him. So many lives hung in the balance, not just the captives, but the fate of the entire human race. When the call came, Alex was as ready as he would ever be. He boarded the sleek black transport craft, his hand clutching the activation device like a talisman. Around him, grim-faced soldiers checked their weapons and whispered prayers. They all knew the odds. They all knew the price of failure. The flight to the target site passed in a blur of tension and turbulence. And then they were in visual range, the alien ship looming before them like a nightmare made metal. Alex's stomach clenched, but he forced down the fear. There was no room for doubt, not anymore. They made their approach under cover of stealth technology, the transport's muffled engines barely a whisper. The entry point loomed ahead, a maintenance hatch identified from the stolen schematics. The transport docked with a soft clang, and the strike team poured into the alien vessel, Alex in their midst. The interior was a labyrinth of pulsing conduits and eerie light. Alex navigated from memory, his heart pounding a staccato beat. Every corner held the threat of discovery, every shadow a potential ambush. But fortune favored the bold, and they reached the prison level unchallenged. Chaos erupted the moment they breached the cell block. Alarms shrieked as the team laid down suppressing fire, alien energy bolts sizzling overhead. Alex raced down the corridor, scanning the cells for Lena, for any human face. He found them huddled in a dank chamber, blinking in disbelief as he burst through the door. Lena's eyes met his, wide with fear and hope. But there was no time for reunion. Alex activated the Resolin device, bathing the captives in pulsing amber light. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, a ripple passed through the assembled humans, a shiver of newfound power. Their skin shimmered, alive with Resolin's defensive might. Alex grinned fiercely. It was working. But the elation was short-lived. A fresh wave of aliens surged into the cell block, and this time they were ready for human resistance. They wielded strange new weapons, pulsing with sickly green light. And when those beams struck the Resolin-enhanced captives, they screamed in agony, their empowered skin no match for this new threat. Alex watched in horror as the hard-won advantage crumbled. The extraction team was overwhelmed, beaten back by the alien onslaught. And amidst the chaos, a chilling realization struck him: Lena was nowhere to be seen. A tactical retreat was the only option. Alex herded the surviving captives back to the transport, their newfound powers now a liability. Anguish tore at him, but the mission parameters were clear. Recover as many as possible. Live to fight another day. As the strike force blasted free of the alien ship, Alex made a silent vow. He would find Lena, whatever the cost. He would unravel the secret of the aliens' new weapon. And he would make them pay for every human life shattered in this cold war among the stars. The battle was lost. But as Earth's blue curve filled the viewscreen, Alex knew the war was far from over. The Resolin gambit had played out, a desperate roll of the dice. Now it was time to stack the deck, to find a new path to victory. For Lena. For Earth. For the future. Alex stood on the precipice of despair, the weight of Lena's absence crushing his soul. The failed mission played out in his mind's eye, an endless loop of guilt and recrimination. He had been so close, so damn close to saving her. But in the end, his Resolin gambit had crumbled, undone by the aliens' insidious new weapon. The debriefing had been a grim affair, a litany of losses and setbacks. The strike team had recovered most of the captives, but the cost had been high. Too high. And Lena. Lena was still in enemy hands, lost somewhere in the labyrinthine bowels of the alien ship. Alex knew he should be focusing on the next move, on finding a way to counter the aliens' latest threat. But all he could think about was Lena. Her fierce intelligence, her wry smile, the way she always seemed to know what he was thinking before he did. She was more than just a colleague, more than just a friend. She was his anchor in the chaos, his beacon in the darkness. And now she was gone, trapped in a living nightmare beyond imagining. Alex wouldn't, let that stand. He had to find her, had to save her. No matter the cost. He pulled in every favor, leveraged every connection. He pored over the intelligence reports, looking for any scrap of information that might lead him to Lena. And finally, after days of sleepless nights and dead ends, he found it. A whisper of a rumor, a fragment of intercepted alien chatter. Lena was alive, and she was scheduled for vivisection. The thought of Lena strapped to an alien operating table, her skin flayed open in the name of monstrous science, it was too much to bear. Alex knew he had to act, and act fast. There was no time for a coordinated strike, no time to mobilize a rescue team. This was on him, and him alone. He armed himself with every scrap of Resolin-enhanced tech he could scrounge, every experimental weapon that might give him an edge. And then, in the dead of night, he stole a stealth shuttle and set out on a suicide mission into the heart of the alien stronghold. The journey was a blur of adrenaline and fear, every second stretched taut with the knowledge of what was at stake. Alex flew with reckless abandon, pushing the shuttle to its limits and beyond. And when the alien ship loomed before him, a twisted behemoth of metal and malice, he didn't hesitate. He punched through the hull with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, announcing his presence with a blast of shearing metal. Alarms shrieked as he raced through the corridors, following the stolen schematics to the vivisection lab. He could hear the thud of alien footsteps, the hiss of energy weapons charging. But he didn't care. All that mattered was Lena. He found her strapped to a pulsing slab of obsidian, her skin already scored with the cruel lines of alien scalpels. Her eyes met his, wide with fear and disbelief. And in that moment, Alex felt a surge of pure, righteous fury. He would make them pay for every cut, every bruise, every moment of terror. He leveled his Resolin-charged pulse rifle at the nearest alien, finger tense on the trigger. But before he could fire, Lena cried out, her voice raw with desperation. Alex, no. The Resolin, it's not just a defense. It's linked to our minds, our emotions. You have to focus, to channel your anger. Understanding dawned in a flash of blinding clarity. The Resolin wasn't just a passive shield. It was a conduit, a channel for the primal power of human will. And in that moment, hovering on the razor's edge of life and death, Alex unleashed that power with all the force of a supernova. The blast ripped through the lab, searing alien flesh and shattering obsidian like glass. Alex felt the Resolin singing in his cells, a symphony of rage and retribution. He was unstoppable, invincible, a one-man army fueled by the righteous fury of the human spirit. He tore through the ship like a force of nature, Lena at his side, the Resolin shielding them from all harm. Aliens fell before them like wheat before the scythe, their weapons useless against the storm of human wrath. And when they finally burst free of the ship, the Resolin healing their wounds even as they ran, Alex felt a grim sense of satisfaction. The aliens had underestimated them, underestimated the power of the human will to survive, and to protect what matters most. In the shuttle, hurtling back towards Earth, Alex held Lena close, marveling at the feel of her heart beating against his. They had won this battle, against all odds. But the war was far from over. The aliens would adapt, would find new ways to strike at the heart of humanity. And Alex would be ready for them. For Lena. For Earth. For the future. The aftermath of the rescue mission was a whirlwind of debriefs, strategy sessions, and desperate planning. Alex and Lena found themselves at the center of a global effort to turn the tide of the war, their knowledge of Resolin and the aliens' capabilities now the most valuable currency on Earth. Under their guidance, teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to replicate and enhance the Resolin activation technology. The goal was to create a planetary defense network, a globe-spanning shield powered by the collective will of the human race. It was a monumental undertaking, fraught with setbacks and challenges. But Alex and Lena pushed forward with single-minded determination, driven by the memory of those they had lost and the knowledge of what was at stake. As the days turned into weeks, the Resolin shield began to take shape. Massive emitter arrays sprung up in cities and military bases across the world, linked by a web of quantum entanglement communication relays. The system was designed to harness the psychic energy of every human on Earth, channeling it into an impenetrable barrier of Resolin-enhanced force. But even as the shield neared completion, troubling rumors began to circulate. Whispers of alien infiltrators, of human collaborators working to sabotage the project from within. Alex and Lena chased down every lead, rooting out pockets of deception and betrayal. But the damage was done. The aliens had bought themselves a window of opportunity, a chance to strike before the shield could be activated. The blow fell without warning, a coordinated assault on the heart of the Resolin network. Key installations went dark, their emitter arrays reduced to molten slag by precision orbital strikes. Alex and Lena watched in horror as the dream of a united Earth defense crumbled before their eyes. In the chaos of the attack, a grim truth came to light. The aliens had never intended to conquer Earth through force alone. Their true weapon was deception, infiltration, the sowing of doubt and division among humanity. They had used the Resolin as bait, a lure to draw out Earth's best and brightest, and to identify the linchpins of human resistance. Now, with the shield in ruins and the leaders of the resistance targeted for elimination, the aliens moved to consolidate their victory. A massive armada appeared in orbit, a doomsday weapon primed to rain destruction upon the planet. In a bunker deep beneath the ruins of the Resolin Command Center, Alex and Lena gathered the tattered remnants of Earth's defenders. The situation was bleak, the odds insurmountable. But in that darkest hour, a desperate plan took shape. The Resolin shield was shattered, but its core technology remained intact. If they could mount a precision strike on the alien flagship, they might be able to hijack its power systems, and turn the Resolin emitters against the invaders. It was a suicide mission, a one-way trip into the maw of the enemy. But Alex and Lena didn't hesitate. They knew what had to be done. For Earth. For each other. For the future. As the remnants of humanity watched in breathless silence, a single ship rose from the ashes of the command center. It bore no markings, no flags of nationality. Only a simple crest, a twisting double helix, the symbol of Resolin and the indomitable human spirit. The ship punctured the atmosphere in a blaze of plasma exhaust, rocketing towards the looming bulk of the alien flagship. Defensive batteries spat fire, filling the void with a lattice of lethal energy. But the little ship danced and wove, evading destruction with preternatural grace. In its cramped cockpit, Alex and Lena worked in wordless synchronicity, their minds and bodies linked by the Resolin flowing through their veins. They were the tip of the spear, the vanguard of humanity's last, desperate charge. The alien flagship filled the viewscreen, a monstrous conglomeration of twisted metal and pulsing malevolence. Alex gritted his teeth, feeling the Resolin surge within him, a conduit for the hopes and fears of every human watching from below. With a whispered prayer, he plunged the ship into the heart of the behemoth, using its own mass to shield their approach. Alarms shrieked, warning lights flashed, but still they pushed on, burrowing deeper into the bowels of the beast. And then they were in the core, a seething chamber of exotic energies and warped spacetime. Lena's fingers flew over the controls, weaving a tapestry of code and quantum entanglement. The ship's Resolin emitters thrummed with building power, resonating with the twisted heart of the alien technology. Alex felt the energies building, felt the Resolin singing in his blood. And he knew, with a sudden, blinding clarity, that this was their destiny. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to transform. To forge a new future from the ashes of the old. He reached out, clasping Lena's hand in his own. Their eyes met, speaking volumes in a glance. Love. Sacrifice. Hope. The essence of what it meant to be human. Together, they activated the emitters, and the universe exploded in a cacophony of light and sound. The energies of the alien core and the Resolin technology merged, intertwined, became something new and miraculous. A wave of transformative power, rippling out from the heart of the flagship, and across the stars themselves. On Earth, on 1,000 worlds, the fabric of reality shuddered and changed. Alien and human alike gasped as new understanding flooded their minds, as ancient barriers of fear and hatred crumbled like dust before the wind. In the heart of the maelstrom, Alex and Lena clung to each other, their bodies and souls merging into something more than human, more than physical. They had become the living embodiment of humanity's potential, the avatars of a new age of understanding and unity. The battlefield was silent. The skies, once filled with burning alien ships and streaks of lethal energy, were now clear. Only the faint shimmer of debris, glistening like fallen stars, remained as a reminder of the war that had almost ended humanity. Alex stood on the hill overlooking the ruins of his city. The streets were scarred, buildings reduced to rubble, and smoke still curled from distant fires. But there were survivors, humans emerging from hiding places, faces painted with shock, relief, and hope. Children clung to their parents, and neighbors helped each other through the debris. He watched as volunteers moved through the wreckage, lifting stones, pulling out the injured, and wrapping blankets around the cold and shivering. Even after all they had been through, their humanity remained intact. Compassion and unity had prevailed over despair. A familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. "You did it, Alex." Turning, he saw his lab partner, eyes tired but smiling. Her arm was in a makeshift sling, evidence of their narrow escape from the alien ship. Yet she stood tall, unbroken. "No," Alex corrected, his voice solemn. "We did it. All of us. If not for every person who stood against the beam, who sacrificed themselves. I only gave them knowledge. They gave everything." They stood in silence, watching as survivors gathered around makeshift camps. People shared food, covered each other with jackets, and whispered words of comfort. Despite the destruction, there was hope. Alex felt a wave of emotion, his chest tightening. "It wasn't just the protein that saved us," he continued, his voice heavy with realization. "It was their courage. Their will to fight, even when it seemed hopeless." His partner nodded. "It wasn't just science. It was humanity." A young child approached, clutching a tattered teddy bear, eyes wide and curious. Alex kneeled, offering a smile. "Are you all right?" The child nodded, then looked up at the sky, at the shimmering debris left by the destroyed alien fleet. "Are they gone?" "Yes," Alex assured softly. "They won't hurt us anymore." The child's face brightened, then she ran back to join her family. Watching her, Alex felt a tear slip down his cheek. The future was uncertain, but at that moment, he knew humanity would rebuild. They always had, and they always would. His partner placed a hand on his shoulder. "What now?" Alex looked at the ruined city, then at the people, survivors who had faced the unimaginable and stood firm. He took a deep breath. "We rebuild. We learn. And we remember." Together, they walked down the hill, joining the others. In his heart, Alex knew that the real strength of humanity wasn't just in their skin's miraculous defense. It was in their compassion, their unity, and their unyielding spirit. The protein was a gift, an anomaly of evolution. But the courage it inspired, the bonds it forged, that was the true miracle.